welcome to No Inside Voice Films.
I'm Will, and today we're going to talk about the new DC films.
Earlier this week, James Gunn announced the upcoming slate of DC films, the hopeful slate. Unfortunately, only a couple of these films are actually in pre-production or post-production. So there's the hopeful slate. We've got the whole list up here, and as you can see, there's going to be a lot of television and animated films on the horizon, and live-action hopeful films as well. There's some live-action projects that kind of seem to be coming out of left field, like Clayface, and some that make a lot of sense, like the Teen Titans. I think that the idea that the DC universe is going for in their films seems to be a good one. It seems like animation is going to stick with its classic modality of being its own thing, except for things like the Creature Commandos. I guess they're going to probably specify which animated projects are linked directly to the live-action film universe. The television shows seem to all be linked to the film universe, with your Green Lanterns, Peacemaker, and Amanda Waller, and down the line. After looking at this list, the thing that really came to me as a creative is, what would I want to see in the DC film universe in live action? What would I like to see added? And I also wanted to think like a producer and think like someone who has to shell out large amounts of money. So after thinking about everything, I actually came up with a list of 5 films, 3 which I would consider low budget comic book films that could be made for 60 mil or less. And then I have one that I would call a mid-range comic book film, which would be made between 60 and 90 million. And then lastly, I have one which is a big budget film, one that would be over $120 million. I thought it would be fun to throw out my 5 ideas for films that I think could be produced and made quickly and add to the DC universe. Another main criteria for these films that I've chosen is that they are not going to throw off any plans that James Gunn may already have going. These films will just deepen the DC universe and create different avenues for films to go down and not hurt anything that James Gunn already has planned, since anyone who doesn't work for DC doesn't know what direction he's truly going with these films. I'm a huge fan of a universe that is all connected, as long as the individual parts of the connection have the freedom to go off in their directions. And that's kind of the plan that I made with these 5 films. So let's start at the beginning with the low budget films, the films that could be made for under $60 million. The first is Static Shock. For those of you who don't know, Static Shock is a comic book that was based in the Milestone universe. Milestone was bought out by DC years ago. Static Shock was a popular kids TV show. He's grown on to become a very popular character. He was absorbed into the DC universe for a while, but they decided to split the DC characters and the Milestone characters again in the comic books. I don't know if DC Films is going to take in the Milestone characters, but if they do, I think Static is, of course, an amazing place to start. I think that Static's story, especially the Big Bang that created him and lots of other metahumans in his town, is great for the DCU to expand the universe and give more characters. So I think that Static could be made for an affordable price. You don't need big actors. You have a small city that it takes place in. It'll be a small localized story. It doesn't go around the world. It just takes place in his town, and I think it would be a great story. My second low-budget film that could be made for under $60 million is Plastic Man. Plastic Man is comic relief for the DC universe, but also a very serious character when it comes to power base. I think that Plastic Man could fill the role of like Ant-Man in the MCU, where they have similar origins. He's a former criminal, and now he's a superhero. I think the Plastic Man film could really be about someone changing their lives. Instead of doing a heist like they did in the Ant-Man film, I think they could take it another direction and be more character-based, where you have a former criminal who has now these amazing powers fighting with himself, trying to decide whether he wants to be a supervillain or a superhero. He has a kid, so the kid can be a huge part of him deciding to be a hero. Those type of things. And it could be hysterical, and it wouldn't cost a ton of money. Yes, there'd be a lot of VFX for Plastic Man himself, but the film wouldn't cost a ton. And what's great about Plastic Man is that he doesn't have to look real like other characters, because everything's made of plastic, so his transformations can be plastic looking, and it would work. So I think that it would be something they could do for under $60 million if they really wrote a good plot and had a strong character-based script. My third low-budget film would be a Zatanna film. Zatanna would bring in the magic side of the DCU, which is something that is grossly underrepresented in these films. I think it would be very interesting to see her story, see her father and her, and then her becoming a hero, and really how magic intertwines into this new universe. It would be a great avenue to open up the universe, as I stated earlier, but also not really touch whatever they have going right now. I think a Zatanna film would be great. It's a female-led story, a great character story, a father-daughter story, inexpensive overall with the magic, and the big bad doesn't have to be a big CGI creature. It could be another magician. There are a lot of ways to save money and tell an amazing story with a Zatanna film, and like I said, open up the DC universe. Moving on to my medium budget film, a film that would cost between 60 and 90 million to make. This one's going to seem like it comes kind of out of left field, but I think for growing the universe, it's the perfect film. And I would make an Adam Strange film as my medium budget film, 60 to 90 million. For those who don't know Adam Strange, he is a scientist who gets teleported to another world via Zeta technology, and he helps that world fight off tyrants and also becomes one of the major scientists in the DC universe. I think Adam Strange would be a great bridge to bring in the space side of the DC universe. I know that they have the Green Lanterns and Hawkgirl in the Superman film, but the Superman film takes place on Earth, and Adam Strange would take place out in the cosmos. I know that Supergirl will take place off-world as well, but I think Adam Strange will be a great place to bring in different types of aliens. I think that the Thanagarians and the people of Rann would be great aliens to really introduce in the film, as well as other aliens. And the main reason I would love to bring in Adam Strange is I think that he would be a great jumping off point for universal threats that come outside of Earth. So your Mongols, your Darkseid, those type of villains would be introduced in the Adam Strange film. Not fighting Adam Strange, because he couldn't take on those type of villains, but the mention of them, fear of them in the galaxy, those type of things would be brought up in the Adam Strange film, and then it could be deepened in other DC projects. Last but not least, my big budget film, a film that would be over $100 million, is one that seems pretty obvious, but it's not on the slate yet, and I think it just has to be fast-tracked, which is a Wonder Woman film. Wonder Woman's one of the big three. I know they've got a Batman film coming eventually, but they've said nothing about Wonder Woman, and she needs to be approached. Of all the films on this list, a Wonder Woman film might cause the biggest trouble for whatever James Gunn has going on. So my suggestion for a Wonder Woman film is to have it take place on Themyscira for 90% of the film. Basically, it would be about Wonder Woman and the Amazonians being attacked by someone. After someone is defeated, then Wonder Woman would go out to the world of man, instead of her going out to the world of man like she did in the Wonder Woman film from about almost 10 years ago now. I only suggest that particular plot if anything else would affect what James Gunn has going on. It wouldn't affect what James Gunn's got going on. I say do anything as long as you have Wonder Woman. You introduce her to the world. If you want to go the route of Diana's mother being the previous Wonder Woman during World War II, that would work, because we haven't established anything yet, unless they do so in the Superman film. Either way, but you need to get Wonder Woman in there, so we have a strong female lead and someone who's extremely popular, keeping the story simple and making people love Wonder Woman again after 1984, which was a very divisive film. So those are my 5 ideas for adding to the DC universe, films that could be written and made pretty quickly, 3 of which for a decently small budget, a couple that cost a little more, but I think would really help grow the DC universe in the film world, in the live action world. I'd love to know your thoughts about these ideas. Please leave your comments down below. Leave a like or a dislike. I would love to know your opinion either way. And thank you for your time. As always, I'd like to close out by saying life is only what you choose to make it. Have a great day, everyone.